Say hello, we wave to say hello to all our friends at story time. We wave to say hello, we clap to say hello, we clap to say hello to all our friends at story time. We clap to say hello, we shout to say hello, we shout to say hello to all our friends at story time. We shout to say hello, we whisper to say hello, we whisper to say hello to all our friends at story time. We whisper to say hello. Hi everybody, my name's Haley and I am a children's librarian with the New Orleans Public Library, and I'm so excited for our story time today. It is on the topic of kindness. So I have two books about what it means to be kind and be a good friend and neighbor, and I have a fun song about being kind as well. So this first story that I have is aptly named Be Kind, and it's by Pat Miller, and I'm able to read it today with permission from Roaring Book Press, which is an imprint of Macmillan Publishing. Tanisha spilled grape juice yesterday all over her new dress. Everyone laughed, and I almost did too, but Mom always tells me to be kind, so I tried. I don't think it worked. I said, "Purple is my favorite color." I thought Tanisha would smile, but she ran into the hall instead. And when she came back, snack time was over, so she put on her art smock, and she didn't look at anyone. I almost told Tanisha that art was my favorite class, but I didn't want her to leave again. So I painted purple splotches and added some green until I had a bunch of beautiful violets. While I painted, I thought about Tanisha. Should I have handed her my napkin? Let her borrow my sweatshirt? Spilled my juice so that everyone stared at me instead? What does it mean to be kind anyway? Maybe it's giving. Making cookies for Mr. Rinaldi, who lives alone. Letting someone with smaller feet have my too tight shoes. He might win races in them too. Maybe it's helping. Putting dirty dishes in the sink, cleaning up after Otis, our class guinea pig. He's a messy eater. Maybe it's paying attention. Telling Desmond I like his blue boots. Making the new girl my partner. Listening to Aunt Franny's stories, even the ones that I've heard before. Being kind should be easy, like throwing away a wrapper or recycling a bottle or saying, "Thank you, bless you." My mom says the quickest way to be kind is use people's names. "Hey Kayla, what's new, Omar? Good afternoon, Rabbi Madelbaum." But being kind can be hard too, even when you know what to do. Teaching someone something I'm good at is tricky, even when I'm being patient. And sticking up for our kids when other kids aren't kind is really hard and really scary. Maybe I can't solve Tanisha's grape juice problem. Maybe all I can do is sit by her in art class and paint this picture for her, because I know she likes purple too. Maybe I can only do small things, but my small things might join small things other people do. And together, they could grow into something big, something really big, so that all our kindness spills out of the school, spreads throughout town, travels across the country, and goes all the way around the world. Right back to Tanisha and me, so that we can be kind again, and again, and again. The end. There are so many ways to be kind. Helping, giving, asking the new girl at school to sit next to you in class. It's really important. So I have a fun song about being kind, and it's to the tune of If You're Happy and You Know It. So first we're gonna clap, show that we're kind, and we're gonna slap our knees to show that we are helpful. We are gonna peekaboo to show that we're generous, and we're gonna shout hooray to show that we're thoughtful. So sing along with me. If you're kind and you know it, clap your hands. If you're kind and you know it, clap your hands. If you're kind and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're kind and you know it, clap your hands. If you're helpful and you know it, slap your knees. If you're helpful and you know it, slap your knees. If you're helpful and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're helpful and you know it, slap your knees. If you're generous and you know it, peekaboo. If you're generous and you know it, peekaboo. If you're generous and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're generous and you know it, peekaboo. If you're thoughtful and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. If you're thoughtful and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. If you're thoughtful and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're thoughtful and you know it, shout hooray, hooray. Thank you so much for singing along with me, everyone. If You're Happy and You Know It is a great song to switch up the words to, depending on what you're feeling. The second book I have is called Sharing a Smile by Nicki Kramar, and I'm reading this today with permissions from Simon Schuster Publishing. So this book was written pretty recently, and it talks about a subject that we're all familiar with now, which is wearing masks to protect other people from getting sick, which is helpful and kind. So parents and caregivers, while I'm reading this book, I'm going to underline some words while I'm reading them with my finger. And if you have beginning readers at home, that's a great thing to do when reading out loud to them, because it'll help them connect the written print along with the sound of the word and different letters. Go. The world was changing. Everyone was wearing masks. It wasn't just nurses and doctors, firefighters, or superheroes anymore. We all have to wear masks to help keep everyone safe, Sophie's grandpa explained. Just like the Hara family does down the street, remember? They have always worn masks when they go outside. Mr. Landon is wearing a mask now while he works in his garden. Sophie remembered how she usually helped Mr. Landon water his flowers. Would she need to wear a mask to help him now? The mail carrier, Sammy, too, her grandpa said. Sophie watched Sammy walk by. She thought about putting on a mask to go outside to get the letters. Sammy waved to her like always, but Sophie couldn't see Sammy's smile. Sophie peeked out and saw Miss Diaz wearing a mask while she admired the butterflies. Jacob and Abigail wore them while riding their bikes. Sophie thought about what fun it could be to ride her bike with them. They looked across the street to Ginny's house. Is Ginny wearing one too? Sophie asked. Sophie waved at Ginny. Ginny waved back. Ginny looks scared, Sophie said to Grandpa. Maybe she is, Grandpa said. It can be hard to be brave when things change. That's why we need our friends to help us. That gave Sophie an idea. Are you ready to put your mask on and go out, Sophie? Grandpa asked. Not yet, Sophie said, but I have a plan. With her grandpa's help, she went to work. Sophie sketched and Grandpa sewed. They worked all day and stayed up late, getting every detail right. I wonder what they're making. That looks like a sewing machine. The next morning, it was time to surprise their friends with the gifts they had made. Now I'm ready, Sophie said. She and Grandpa put on their masks and stepped outside. Sophie and Grandpa walked around the neighborhood sharing their gifts. Flowers for Mr. Landon. For Miss Diaz, a butterfly parade. Bike wheels for Jacob and Abigail. They handed out purple ones, pink ones, yellow, and green. Masks that matched everyone's personality. a paintbrush for Mr. Hara, a football for Mrs. Hara, and of course, polka dots for Kiku. And one covered in musical notes, perfect for the mail carrier, Tammy. Finally, they got to Ginny's house. Sophie held up the mask they'd made for Ginny, a lion to help her be brave. She knew Ginny couldn't see her smile, but Ginny still smiled back. The whole neighborhood smiled back. The end. Being helpful and protecting your neighbors is such a great way to be kind. I'm so glad we have that story. So I've shared my 2 stories and my song, and that means we're at the end of story time today. But you can be on the lookout for every Monday. We'll re-release a new pre-recorded story time on a different theme, and you can access them all through our website, NOLALibrary.org. So I hope that you guys will join us again. And now it's time to sing our goodbye song, which is just like the hello song I sang at the beginning, but we do it backwards. So first we whisper to say goodbye, and then we shout. Then we clap, and then we're gonna wave goodbye, and I'll say goodbye. Whisper to say goodbye. We whisper to say goodbye to all our friends at story time. We whisper to say goodbye. We shout to say goodbye. We shout to say goodbye to all our friends at story time. We shout to say goodbye. We clap to say goodbye. We clap to say goodbye to all our friends at story time. We clap to say goodbye. We wave to say goodbye. We wave to say goodbye to all our friends at story time. We wave to say goodbye. Bye, y'all.